Hey guys, what's up? I'm back at you with another video, and I'm sorry about the delay in the random movie review. It's been kind of a tiring week. But that's not what this one's about. I actually wanted to talk to you about something I read, because watched my videos, or at least one of my videos, you know I have a guilty pleasure of fan fiction. I like reading it. And I was reading a comment about a fan fiction that I haven't really read the fiction, just wanted to see if it was good in the opinions of others. And I'll admit, it's a Game of Thrones one, but it made me question a lot because the person wrote about how Dan and Dave, or as some are calling them, Dumb and Dumber, wanted a whole lot more changes than they actually made to the story. The first is they wanted to completely take out Jon and Daenerys' storylines. Just take them out all together. They said it was boring, which, no. Other ones had far more boring storylines that they wanted to bump up. I don't know if this is true or not. Just saying, but if it's true, that explains a lot, especially the ending with Jon and Daenerys' fates. They also wanted to make it more, or almost all entirely, about the war between the Starks and the Lannisters over the Iron Throne. Which, while a big part of the first few seasons, not all of them, just a few of them, and even in the books, it's not the whole story. There is a lot more to it. They wanted to take out all the fantasy stuff, pretty much. They tried to take out as much as they could, but considering it's based off of a book, and they did have certain things that they had to put in because it's in the book. Otherwise, it's just the character names and locations kind of would probably get copyrighted on it, you know? Probably get in some trouble. And with the Jon and Daenerys storylines, if they completely took them out, I think Martin wouldn't have let them do it, or George Martin wouldn't have let them do it, because of the fact, he admitted, the author himself admitted the story is about them. B, Jon's how they even got the show in the first place, because they had to name his parents, his true mother, to even get to do the show. So I don't think they could take him out without pretty much Martin saying, hell no, you're not doing my story. Also, they wanted to take out the Red Wedding completely because they wanted Robb to be the hero. Which, if it's true, would explain why they did with Bran they did. How they made him the hero and the king at the end. Because they couldn't have Robb, and Rickon was obviously not a very good choice because his character is just a little boy who spends most of his time on the wildlings. So him being king was pretty much a little far-fetched. Even more far-fetched than Bran. They also mentioned they decided to make Arya the one to kill the Night King during season 6 or after season 6. I'm not sure about that one because the authors or the show writers, the D&D guys, said they decided in season 3. But they could have said before and just didn't want to admit it. But either way, them deciding on Arya just because they wanted more of the Starks to be the winners instead of the ones they found boring didn't make sense. It's just them wanting who they wanted. I know there's other stuff, but I can't remember. Let's see if I can find it again. But either way, no, that'll take too long. And Daenerys going mad. That one honestly was not full on obvious in season 1. I have to admit, it was not obvious. she was getting more into herself, like, I'm a strong person. And her walking into the fire, I think in the books with Drogon, was slightly suicidal. Even in the show, I think it was a little suicidal. She just didn't want to admit it to Jorah. But nothing about her story in the first season, even kind of season 2, didn't show her going mad. Season 1, she was kind of trying to find her place between her abusive brother and her husband, who, I think, show-wise, she did love. I'm not sure if in the book, because I didn't quite read all the book yet. But, she was trying to find her place, get out from under her brother's controlling, maniac control. His thing, because he was abusive. Her watching him die was pretty much her tormentor is finally gone, even if it is her brother. And Drogon, who she tried to seduce to fall in love with her, kind of thing, and it worked. Probably to make her life a little easier. So otherwise he was just raping her every night, pretty much. But either way, season 2, she was kind of trying to find her place again because of the fact she'd lost her Khalasar, or most of it. Her husband was dead, her son was dead. She had these new dragons she had to protect. She was a little overwhelmed. And don't forget, in the show, she was 16 and 17 in the first 2 seasons. In the books, she was 13, 14. So, naturally, she's going to be a little crazy because she is a teenager. After that, it's more like she just became obsessed with the throne. Because she spent all her life listening to her brother how the throne was roughly his, or the Targaryens, and she didn't know about the rest of the Targaryens in Westeros, so she thought it was all on her. That would drive anybody mad. But it was more of an obsession. Anyways, so D&D's wanting to take Jon and Daenerys out, wanting to take all the magic out, make it all about the Starks and Lannisters. Just explains the ending so much if it's true. They screwed Daenerys, they screwed Jon, they gave the other 3 way too much power. Because, let's face it, realistically, Sansa should not have been queen, considering she was a married daughter, and married daughters, at least in that time period, would have been kicked to the end of the line. By rights, Bran or Arya had more right over Winterfell in the north. Unless the show ever put in Robb's will, which they took completely out. Books may have it. It would rightfully go to Jon. If Bran didn't want it and Rickon didn't want it, and we know Arya didn't want it, but Robb made it so Sansa couldn't get it over Jon, to keep it out of the Lannister hands. And why they made Bran king when he had no reason to be king, and his story was one of the more boring ones. I mean, he wasn't even in season 5, and it did not hurt the show. So, if they didn't bring him back in season 6, people were wondering a little bit where he went. But they'd be okay, so he went and hid in a cave to become the Three-Eyed Raven and watch from a distance. Okay, fine. Let's let it go. It's not like he was hugely important. I mean, the show tried to make him more important, but that would also explain why they made him the sole warg in the family, when at least Arya was, in fact, a skin changer, because she could warg into Nymeria, and in the book, she at least warged into one cat. We don't know if she did more. But either way, she is a skin changer just like Bran. She's just not a green seer. there is a little difference, but that's because green seers are a little more rare than even skin changers, and skin changers are rare to wargs. They completely took out John B. Warg, which he was a very reluctant warg. He didn't really want it, but in some ways he couldn't help it with his dreams, because at night when he was sleeping he had no control of what he did. But he never wanted to actually fully learn, which I think if he learned, he would have been a very powerful warg. I don't know if he was a skin changer or not, because they always talk about him and Ghost, which his bond with Ghost was a lot stronger than the show. They also took out the fact that Jon and Daenerys both had dreams, foreseeing dreams, which makes a lot of sense, because they have an ancestor, Daenerys Targaryen, who foresaw this doom of Valyria. It thought she was probably crazy at first, but turned out she was right. So they have prophetic, I can't talk about it. Anyway, dreams. They had those dreams of prophecy, right? Say that showed they had magic. So they took out all the magic of Jon, pretty much, except for he can ride a dragon. They tried to limit Daenerys because they didn't like either one of them, which I don't get. Also explains why they made Jon such a whimpering little brat, not a brat, who did everything everybody wanted him to do. In the books, he actually has a spine. He proved that with Sir Alliser Thorne when he took him by the throat, shoved him against the wall, and lifted him. Which is why his show counterpart is a little too wimpy. Good guy, but wimpy. And another thing I was thinking about, all this made me think about, is the Dothraki. If they're all about strength and power and stuff, they go for the strongest. They would have flocked to Jon, actually, when he killed Daenerys. Because they saw her as the strongest person. He killed her. He would have been seen as a stronger leader, and they would have flocked to him. That would have caused trouble for the Unsullied. Also would have caused trouble for Bran and Sansa and their power play. Because, let's face it, as powerful as Bran is made in the show, he's not powerful enough to destroy the Dothraki. He's just not. And he didn't even have control of a weapon that would. The birds, not enough. They can kill the birds easy. And as powerful as he is to go into Holdor's mind, Holdor was not... Or they have a theory that he was part giant, and so he was not fully human. So, Holdor is a different story. He's never shown working in anybody else's mind, because human minds are far more complicated than most animals. And a dragon's mind is probably even more complicated than a human. Because we don't know what they think most of the time. So the whole thing about him possibly being able to work into a dragon seems a little more far-fetched than anything else. But all that explains why they favored the Starks so much, when realistically half of it shouldn't have happened. Another thing was with Sansa and her storyline with Ramsay. I think they did that to give a reason for her to be kind of a cold-hearted bitch, because in the show and the book before season 5, Littlefinger is basically obsessed with Sansa, especially after he can't get her mother. And she's the one who looks more like her mother than any of them. Why would he give her to someone else that he can't control? Because while he can have a little control over Roose, Ramsay was a different story. Even his own father had very little control over him. Come on, kid. The guy killed him. But, it made no sense for Littlefinger to give Sansa to the Boltons. In no sense whatsoever. So I think they just needed her to be the cold-hearted bitch so she can be the Queen of the North and screw over her cousin that they believed is her half-brother. And she did screw him over. She did. But that's my theories on that. If anybody actually knows if anything about Dan and Dave's plans to remove Jon and Daenerys, make it all about the Starks and Lannisters' war for the Iron Throne, and when exactly they did Arya being the one to kill the Night King, which realistically she should not have done because she should not have been that great of a fighter. She did not have the time to learn that well. If you can tell me, that'd be cool. Though before I end the video, I'm going to do the drawing for my random movie review so that later I can do it. So let's see which movie I do a random movie review. Okay. Getting these apart is not easy. Finally got one. Cinderella 2015. Which kind of goes with this video because it has the guy who plays Robb Stark. So I will do that either tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure which. Depends on how tired I am after work. Anyways, if anybody knows anything about these theories, please let me know. And I will see you guys later. Bye.